I started as a server at the restaurant and talked my way into getting a management job. And at the time, I was really flustered by the owner and my boss. The guy was just really, I thought, unnecessarily busting my chops all the time. This guy was super checklist oriented.
He didn't have the creative flair that we have.
He was very eccentric and he was, but just very by the book. But later on down the road when I came into the ownership at Stanley's, but I picked up the phone and called him and I said, "Hey Rick, this is Nick Pencis." And the sound that I heard next was him dropping the phone and it hitting his desk because he just couldn't believe that I was calling him. And he's like,
I thought you hated me.
What do you need? And I was like, look, I wanted to apologize and I just wanted to tell you that you were the greatest mentor that I didn't realize that I had at the moment in time. But I'm an owner now and I just wanted to say thanks.
This is my time right now. It's my time right now.
Welcome to another episode of East Texas Unfiltered. I'm your host, J. Chad Parker. Today we have the owner of probably the only iconic restaurant in Tyler, and that's Stanley's BBQ. I know you know about it. Most of you have eaten there. If you haven't, then you need to check it out. You're going to learn more about the restaurant, what's going on, what may be happening in the future. Nick, thanks for being here.
Glad to be here, Chad. Thanks for having me.
As I understand it, Nick, I'm older than you, so I didn't know you in school. You went to Tyler schools, did you not?
I did. I moved to Tyler in 1989 in the middle of my 7th grade year. I went to Moore Middle School, and then I was at Lee.
All right. In 1989, I graduated from UT in Austin, and so I'm quite a bit older than you. So we wouldn't have crossed paths until I got back in town, and I think that's when I first met you over at Brady's Coffee Shop.
Probably somewhere over there, yeah.
Because I'm not sure if you were married then or if your wife worked in there, but you went in there quite a bit from what I recall.
Yeah, at that point in time, Jen had basically quit her job. She was a personal trainer and taught yoga and Pilates in Longview, and just the whole inception of how Stanley's happened with both of us was crazy. But at one point, it required her to leave and put on an apron and come over, and yeah, Brady's was our coffee spot in the morning to have to get the juices flowing.
Well, after you went to Moore, I guess you went to what was Robert E. Lee High School?
Yeah, graduated in 95.
All right. So 95, do you do anything as far as college or study or training in any way?
I went to TJC. I got a scholarship to go to TJC to play on the TJC drum line.
Mm-hmm. Did you play in the band in high school?
I did. I was on the drum line at Lee, and I didn't really know what I was going to do. My intention was to kind of take a gap year and figure it out. And a bunch of my friends were on the drum line at TJC, and they convinced me to come over. They basically got me a scholarship and said, "Hey, come and play." And I ended up over there for a short time before I left and moved down to San Marcos. A bunch of my friends ended up going to school there. I never went to school. I got
Texas State, Party College, Party University.
Yeah. I got a great job working at an independent restaurant there, and that was my first job as a restaurant manager. And so essentially, the two things I had ever really done, which were music and the restaurant business, my parents were both in the restaurant business. My dad was a chef and a certified executive club manager, and hospitality is just kind of in my blood. And once I got that job, it kind of bit me. And I loved that restaurant. And the whole time I was down in San Marcos from 97 to 2000, that's all I did was work in the industry.
You mentioned your dad. Where was your dad, in business, or where was he working for somebody related to hospitality or restaurant?
Yeah, my dad was an immigrant. Him and his family fled Latvia in 1941 when the Russian occupation was about to happen again. They immigrated to Colorado. One of the first jobs my dad got was he was a busboy at Garden of the Gods in Colorado Springs. And so hospitality bit him early on as well. He eventually became a chef. That's how he met my mother. My mother worked at the front desk at a hotel where my dad had come to apply for the job as head chef. And that kind of just led him to eventually the country club scene. And my dad was an executive chef at many clubs. He then became a certified executive club manager. And what his role became is he would go to clubs that were struggling to operate in the black. He was essentially a consultant. He would get the clubs operating, fix their food and beverage program, their golf program, and then kind of move on to the next spot. So early on, we moved a lot, which is how I ended up here in Tyler.
What brought him to Tyler? What specific job or club?
Emerald Bay.
Okay.
My dad did Emerald Bay. My mother took over at Emerald Bay after him, and then eventually my dad ended up back in Tyler, and he was at Holly Tree for a little while.
All right. So those are two clubs that most people are familiar with.
Yeah.
Emerald Bay was once known kind of as more of a retirement community, but now I think a lot of young people are moving out there and rejuvenating the homes.
I've heard that. I've heard that it's kind of becoming the new spot coming up.
We've got a podcast guest, Smitty Smith, who lives out there presently.
That's who told me. Smitty's the one who told me. What's up, Smitty? I love Smitty.
Mike Martin, Ragsdale Martin, who does all my glasses, he's out there.
I didn't know that. Cool.
Chris Woodard, old soccer coach, girls soccer coach, he's out there.
Great guy.
Craig Poole.
He was there when I was at Lee.
Yeah, right, as the girls soccer coach.
Yeah.
All right, so you get down to San Marcos and you work in a restaurant and it sounds like you moved up to the manager. You're not like a server or bartender. You're actually part of the management.
Yeah, that was, I started as a server at the restaurant and talked my way into getting a management job. And at the time I was really flustered by the owner and my boss. The guy was just really, I thought, unnecessarily busting my chops all the time. This guy was super checklist oriented and just, it was just annoying.
He didn't have the creative flair that we have.
He was very eccentric and he was, but just very by the book.
He was too rigid.
The way he operated. But later on down the road, when I came into the ownership at Stanley's and I was starting to understand how difficult it actually is, even though I had the experience for a long time, becoming an owner is so much different than just working in a restaurant or even managing, even at a high level. And I picked up the phone one day and I called Rick Travis.
Was that the guy?
That was the guy.
And you kind of had that epiphany where process, as rigid as it was, it really made a difference.
It was popping up in everything that I did every day, and it was completely subconscious to me. But I had these habits that he had ingrained in me that I didn't realize. And our relationship did not end really well when I left. It wasn't.
Well, you're young at that time. We're all stubborn and maybe got more ego than smarts, back then.
Yeah. And, but I picked up the phone and called him and I said, "Hey, Rick, this is Nick Pencis." And the sound that I heard next was him dropping the phone and it hitting his desk because he just couldn't believe that I was calling him. And he's like, basically just like, what?
I thought you hated me.
What do you need? And I was like, look, I wanted to apologize. And I just wanted to tell you that you were the greatest mentor that I didn't realize that I had at the moment in time, that I'm an owner now. And I just wanted to say thanks.
What type of restaurant were you working at with this guy that you were learning these things about the business?
It's called Palmer's Restaurant and Bar. It's still there. He owned a bar called the Green Parrot on the square in San Marcos. Palmer's was kind of an upscale American restaurant. It's kind of the kind of place you would go, at graduation when you want to go have a nice dinner with your family. It was
bar.
Yeah, it had a great bar, but it was in an old house, and it was a cool spot. Most of the staff was young. It's a college town,
right?
But it was it was just a beautiful spot. So he wanted to keep it upscale feeling, and so he had really, really high standards, and it was really, really cool to learn that.
Yeah. And, when you are the boss, as I am, as you are, you understand that as new people come in, they don't necessarily, they're not trained in the ways and the expectations. And you have to kind of hold them to that because they don't always naturally, aspire to do what we want them to do.
No. And Danny Meyer, he was a really influential guy in the hospitality business. He Union Square Hospitality Group in New York City. He eventually the founder of Shake Shack. He wrote a book which is called Setting the Table, and it's kind of the hospitality industry, we refer to as our Bible.
Right.
One of the things that Danny talks about is the salt and pepper shakers. He's like, you have to always just put them back. Everyone's going to want to move them. Everyone's going to want to put them over here or do this or turn them this way. And he's just like, as soon as you stop putting them back where they're supposed to go, according to your philosophy or whatever, then just hand them the keys and you're done. You have to stay principled and stick to your guns, because they're always going to fight you on it. And, you just got to keep doing it.
Well, it's funny. You use that example. I think of myself and my wife, who are both a little OCD, and we would naturally migrate to these type of patterns in our business, neatness, structure, right, repetition, because you could count on those things once you found out they were successful and continue to repeat them. Right,
systems make everything happen, especially as you grow. Like, you have to have systems.
Yeah, because as much as us patrons love the free pour, the jigger, has its place.
Yes, it does.
Right, because times 1,000 drinks.
And I will tell you that it's not as much about like the dollar to me and to someone as great as Heather, who runs our bar, as it is about consistency, and that's what you learn about all the major successful restaurant companies is, if you go eat at that restaurant in this town and you go somewhere else, you want it to meet your expectation. You have an idea of what it's supposed to taste like. And if it's totally different, then, what's the point of going there? And it's the same with food and beverage. If there's a drink you like at Stanley's, the next time that you're craving it,
I want it to taste like exactly, it did. Yes.
And that comes from systems and standards and measuring. And old school, my dad said this to me so many times: if you can measure it, you can manage it. And that's just the truth.
I think I've heard Heather say that before to me. And Heather's somebody we're going to return to, but I want to get you to 2000. You've got about 3 years of experience, right, in management.
Yeah.
And then do you come back to Tyler in 2000?
I did on New Year's Eve, Y2K, December 31st, 1999.
You were worried about the computers.
No, it just... I had been removed from my job at Palmer's and took another job managing a pizza joint in Northwest Austin, and it just really wasn't for me. I was just having a hard time. I was on my own. I was like, I just need to do something else. I'm going to reset. I'm going to go back to Tyler. And I was considering school at that point in time, of like really diving in and studying business, something that I wanted to do.
How old are you? 23, 24 at this time?
Okay. Yeah.
95, you graduated from high school, 5 years later.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I came back with the intent to try school again. But what ended up happening is a friend of mine who had grown up here, moved to Los Angeles, had started a band, was touring in a band. I'm a drummer as well. We talked about me being in the drum line.
I was going to ask that if you had taken that drum line talent to actually able to work off a drum kit.
Drum line was where I started, just learning rudimentary, but playing the drum kit was my love. That's, one of the earliest things that I remember. I think I was probably 7 or 8 when we lived in Amarillo. And I remember going to Kmart with my mom, and I saw this blue sparkly drum kit like on the shelf up high, and I wanted it so bad. And
did you get it?
No, not that one, not that time. Much later on, but the drums was something that I always was gravitated towards and wanted to do, and played a lot in high school. Almost didn't graduate high school because I was touring with my band on the weekends and sometimes not making it back to school on time on Wednesday because we were way down in South Texas or somewhere else. And, I was in a band with the same guy who had moved to Los Angeles, and he hit me up and said, "Hey man, we're out on the road. My drummer quit. We're in San Francisco. You want to come out and jump in and finish the tour and maybe talk about," and I was like, sure. I'm actually not doing anything right now. And so I picked up and went on the road with those guys from 2000 to 2004.
Almost 4 years?
Yeah, they're still out there.
That's a long time on the road.
It is, and we're on the road a lot, like essentially 9 months or so out of the year every year, living in a van. It got better late, as we
because the money's not that great.
No,
if there's 4 or 5 guys.
Money was terrible. We ended up, there was 3 of us. We were a trio. But we were camping, sleeping in the van, sleeping on couches, like,
that's rough.
But it was a commitment to something that we were all really passionate about.
Right. Yeah.
At a time in our life when we're young enough where you can kind of take a chance like that. So it was a time that I look back on fondly. I learned a lot during those times, because when you're in a band and you're showing up in a town 500,000 miles, people don't know who you are. You have to figure out a way in a college town. All right, we got 4 hours. You find the nearest Kinko's, you go make some flyers, you go to campus, and you just start talking to people, and they're like, hey, we're playing a show tonight, come down. And I took that approach actually when I came into Stanley's. Stanley's was a place that only the old timers hung out at back in the day.
Right.
People my age didn't know about Stanley's. And so it was my goal to try to flip it back. And I used the guerrilla marketing techniques that I learned on the road playing in my band to try to get younger folks interested to come to Stanley's. So it was a really unique culmination of all the things I've done when I ended up back here. When I left the band in 2004, I ended up back at Stanley's in 2005.
All right. So you haven't put it together in your mind, but you've picked up these business traits for a restaurant bar from Travers. You've kind of picked up some marketing techniques from your time in the band.
Yeah.
You leave, you come back to Tyler. And when is it that Stanley's somehow ends up in your orbit where you're talking about buying Stanley's?
Well, Stanley's, some acquaintances of mine bought Stanley's in the summer of 2000, and that's when I first learned about it.
They buy it from
They bought it from JD and the kids. JD was sick at the time. He died a few years later, but the kids didn't want to take over. Don Stanley's, he does ranch real estate. He's had a great career, and it was just something he couldn't come back to, and they had said they were interested, and so they said, "Oh, okay, if you want to keep it going, we'll get it to you."
Pull up the old Stanleys we got and see if this is kind of what we're looking at in 2000 when your buddies get it. It looks something like this, right?
This is really recent. I mean, and at that time, the deck wasn't there at all.
Right, that's right.
None of that was there. It was the original brick color.
It's got a landmark plaque on the side.
It does now, for sure. But at that time, between 2000 and 2004, when I was on the road, I'd always eat there when I came back. And then when I ended up back here in 2004, my intent was school. I thought that, because I wanted to be a restaurateur, I knew it's what I wanted to do. And I thought that my pathway to do that was to go back to school and get my MBA. And so that's the pathway that I started on. And in the second week of my second semester back here to finish my general stuff at TJC, they called me and said, "We need help running the restaurant. Can you come over and help us out?" And
because they don't know what to do. And from 2000, 2004, they've probably struggled, and it's having a hard time making it.
I mean, I can't really speak for them in that respect, but I mean, essentially that was kind of what was presented. They needed help operating. They wanted to grow. They had a location in White House at the time. Most people don't know that, but there was a place in White House. It's Rib Masters now, but at the time it was called like Peepaw's Barbecue or something.
Yeah, I mean, I know where that Rib Masters is. It's kind of on your right as you're going into town.
Yep. For a short time, that was Stanley. So they had 2 locations, and they were juggling.
Expanding a little too quick.
Something. But, I had some operational prowess, and they were asking for my help. And what I had said was, you know what, I have a job. I was bartending at the time, not really working much.
Where were you bartending?
I was bartending at Holly Tree.
Okay. And that gig has to be slow, right? I mean,
it can be, but it was great because I just love people and I love talking to people. And I made some really deep, meaningful friendships there with people that were members that still to this day come and see me at Stanley's, and they're just like, man, I still can't believe it. I knew you were going to do something. This is crazy. But I was like, I got a job. I'm trying to go back to school, and I don't really want a job. And they're like, well, what about a partnership, or like, what if we sold it to you? And I was like, okay, that's interesting to me.
Because, I mean, that's a lot more than asking for help. And then the next sentence say, hey, what if we sold it to you?
Exactly.
I mean, that's like, well,
and so that's what piqued my interest. And so I had, at this point in time, this was in May of 2005. In April of 2005 is when I met Jen, my wife.
Who you're still with today.
Our 20-year anniversary is this year, so it was my 20-year anniversary at Stanley's. I met Jen, strangely enough, at Rick's on the Square.
Common meeting spot for young people in Tyler.
But there was a band playing that were kind of mentors of me growing up here. They were having a reunion show. So
Who was it?
It was the Imaginary Band.
The Imaginary Band.
And I knew everyone at this table of like 30 people in the middle of the big room at Rick's, except for her. And I was asking everybody, I was like, who is that? Who is that? And like, it ended up being someone, her Aunt Valerie owned Country Coffee House here in Tyler, which is where my band played in high school all the time. So there were all these really crazy connections. But I had known Jen for a month at this point. And I said, I'm going to school because I want to be a restaurateur. And these guys just hit me up and said, hey, we need your help to operate. We can sell this to you if we can, get to a place where we're on the same page. And I was like, I really don't know what to do. And, she was just like, well, close your eyes, think about it. Like, what makes you feel happy and peaceful? Like, what's the thing that excites you? And I said, you know what? I'm just going to go for it. And I dropped all my classes at TJC. I went to work at Stanley's just as a manager running it between the two things. The very first thing I did was out there at the spot in White House.
Closed it?
This is actually when it was starting. I pulled the carpet and had to like get the carpet epoxy off of the concrete floor to help them set it up, and then try to set up a way to staff and run all this. And, that was May of 2005 or June 2005 by the time I got there.
Had you bought it?
Nope.
Or did you just come on to work first?
I just came on to work and worked through basically evaluate and come up with a plan. The plan was that we were going to buy it, and inevitably,
we, meaning who?
Jen and I.
Okay, y'all weren't married at the time.
No, but I proposed to her at 4 months.
Okay.
I just knew it.
All right, so you pretty much knew that she was going to be your life partner as well as your business partner.
Yep, 100%.
And so by 4 months, you're talking hey, we're going to buy this.
Mm-hmm.
While you're improving it, are you worried that you're adding value that may work against you for the purchase?
That's a great question, because that's kind of essentially what happened, but that's what saved it, because the owners ended up taking on other partners that weren't Jen and I, and that wasn't the agreement or why I was there. And so
they were just looking for infusions of cash.
The answer that I got was, you and Jen are going to get married and you don't need this kind of stress. And I just thought that was audacious, because I was like, this is our life and we've agreed that this is what we want to do. And so,
do you feel like y'all had improved it and that was kind of an excuse, like, oh, we don't think you're really going to want to do this, and we want to keep going with this?
And I don't really, I never was able to get to the heart of that matter. All I know is that at the beginning of May of 2006, a month after we had got married, Jen and I got married a year to the day that we met. We had just got back from our honeymoon, and I got fired.
From Stanley's?
I got fired from Stanley.
Okay, so it feels like, they're not interested in the original deal that they approached you about.
Well, the original owner his new partners had a keen understanding of, wait a second, this is the kid who's kind of making everything happen right now. And the day after I got fired, which I got fired in front of both of them, they called me to have coffee with them. Me and Jen met them. They said, listen, technically we own a majority and we'd like to sell you the other owner's portion and be partners with you. And I said no. And Jen was like, hold on a second.
All right. So
She's like, we're listening.
what was what was the reason given when you were fired?
I mean, at that moment in time, I really don't want to get into it because it's a really personal thing to happen, but
No, it's okay. I mean, look,
I was doing what I know as an operator to make choices that are correct in how you operate, right? And I said something, I was like, we can't do this. Like,
yeah, right.
and it was basically like, actually, I can. I don't need you telling me what to do. You're out.
Oh,
And
you
I was
think
just
that
like,
was kind of a reaction that they might have regretted at the time?
well, the next morning, essentially, that's what they said.
I mean, that's what I'm feeling when they say, "Hey, do you want to buy in?"
Yeah, they're like, we need you. Like, you're the one who's kind of really making things happen right now. And Jen's like, hey, listen, we need a day to
My
talk
wife
about
is
this.
way more cool-headed than I am.
Right. I was pissed.
I mean,
I was emotional about it. It had hurt my feelings. I had changed the whole entire course of my life to do this thing, and I felt like was taken from me, and I was mad.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, and you should be, but I'm glad this story's getting good here. Now she's holding you off, and what are they pitching at this point?
I mean, basically to buy in and be partners to continue,
but with a controlling share or not
equal, and at the time, had I known better, I should have said
51.
I'm 51. You guys are 50.
Because they could always kind of block you,
Sure,
right? I mean,
right.
And then, all right. So the partners,
so we're all in thirds. I'm back.
There's 3 of you.
I go to work May 26, 2006, as my first day as an owner of Stanley's. On a Friday night.
How many owners are there at this?
There's Jen and I, and then the other 2 partners. So essentially it's 3.
Yeah, because you're calling you and Jen one.
That's correct.
50 and 50%.
Well, 33, 33, 33.
Okay, but Jen is 33.
She's me and her are 33 together.
Okay,
so there's two other guys.
So these guys can outvote you. They can,
sure,
right? I mean,
but they can't run the restaurant.
Okay, so you and Jen, you know this, right? You know that they're stuck. Unless they bring somebody else in, they're not going to be able to run the place.
Sure. But, it wasn't weird. It all felt good. I felt like we were all on the same page.
Okay, there was no tension after the firing.
No, they were like, hey, look, you got it. Do your thing. We're here to support you. And it worked well for a while. But there kind of became a point in time where I understood the direction we needed to go. And I was like, we're going to need some capital to make some of these changes. And they're like, I really don't want to do it.
Man.
And
that story is everywhere. You're like, hey, we need to put money back in this business to make it better and grow.
Right.
They're like, hey, I'm a partner. I just want to take money out of here.
Yeah.
Right.
Right. And but it got to the point, and it was essentially a really risky maneuver, but I kind of put it into a dive, pointed it straight at the ground. I was like, look, if we're going to save this place, Jen and I know what to do, and we can make it happen, but it's going to be for us. So you have an opportunity now. I want to buy you guys out and take all of the risk. You can walk away with everything that you put into it and not have to worry about it. If I have to do what I know I have to do to save this place, I'm going to do it for my family.
Right.
So this is it. Either we're all going to walk away and lose everything, or you're going to give it to me and let me do what I need to do to save it.
Did the business have any debt that would have to be assumed or dealt with when you did that?
Not much.
Okay.
Essentially just what they had invested at the time.
And so you were going to have to come up with cash from somewhere to buy these guys out.
Mm-hmm. And you know what? One of Jen's clients, who she was a personal trainer for, were Joyce and Rogers Pope at Texas Bank and Trust.
And so they agreed to extend you a loan, line of credit, something?
Jen called them and said, hey, this is what we want to do. And they said, Jen, we love you. We're going to have someone reach out, and had someone from the bank call us, and we got our first loan to buy them out, and we had some operating capital, and we jumped in and went straight to work, and it has been gangbusters ever since. Our growth since that moment in time, to this point, is 2,200% growth.
All right. And so that point in time, when you and Jen get this loan, you probably borrow a little extra to have some operating capital to fix things up, to maintain the place.
Yeah, and just to have some confidence to operate when you have to go through the rough patches. You know?
Right. You can't just be like on the razor's edge, if it's a slow week or summertime when people are gone.
Yeah, because at that moment in time, a Saturday afternoon at Stanley's was our slowest day. There would be 3 hours on some Saturday afternoons where not a single car would pull into that parking lot.
Which is a dramatic change from the way things are today.
Saturday afternoon is now by far our busiest day during the week, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I know that from going there on Saturdays a lot myself, that it starts in the morning and it just continues on through the evening until it closes.
Yeah, it can be insane. Literally, the place is insane sometimes.
Well, okay, so is this 2007? When is this that you guys take complete control?
We take complete control in 2008.
Okay. 2008, it's all yours. You hear about pit masters. Are there some guys, people, women that are working there, that really help make the place run?
So at the time, no.
Okay, no, and you didn't have a reliable crew that had been working through the Stanley's years?
Well, it was at that point in time, it was a matter of it was what we had inherited. Okay, but Stanley's has a long legacy, right? They've been cooking barbecue in that spot. Before Stanley's, it was Watson's Barbecue, and before Watson's Barbecue, it was Sam Jones Barbecue. Sam Jones Barbecue opened, I believe, in 1953. I found an article in the paper not long ago, and it was actually opened where the bar is right now, in the middle building. It moved over to the new building a little bit later, but barbecue had been happening there a long time. Processes has changed. Corners were being cut. 2008 was the first time we made the Texas Monthly Top 50 kind of on our own. And I had realized that year, I had a huge epiphany that the way that we are cooking barbecue here is not to the standard that it should be in the state of Texas. And that's when I started taking pilgrimages. I started driving to Central Texas. I started going to Lou & Miller Barbecue. I started going to Lockhart and seeing what really barbecue's about in this state.
What is barbecue about? What's different? I've heard post oak. What is that? The kind of wood you use?
Wood's what's available where you're at in the region. West Texas barbecue, there's mesquite. So I use mesquite. Post oak's available in Central Texas. Here in East Texas, it's hickory and pecan, for the most part. And so that's just kind of one of the regional variations of where you're at and what you have at your
available
disposal.
Because you need continual supply of wood.
Oh yeah. We go through a ton, and especially when you're doing it right, we consume wood at a rate that's it's fascinating to me every time when I have to see, like, oh my gosh, we have to get wood from a specialized supplier who comes from Central Texas, and they bring a lot. We're buying 5 cords at a time.
Do you keep it there at the premise?
Yeah.
Or do you have some other location where you have other things?
It's always there. But 2008 is when I realized that we needed to definitely focus. Up until that point, my focus was just running a restaurant. Okay.
Barbecue, making a profit.
It wasn't my choice. I had never cooked before. I didn't know anything about barbecue. I just was in an operational space, right?
And barbecue was your product.
It was. And so I was like, you know what? We really need to do this better. We really need to do this as best as we can. And we're not anywhere close right now. And that's when I started to try to turn the corner to just be way better at what we did. And it's a lot to learn. It's a process that's really complicated. It's not easy. It takes a long time. It's really hard. And it's hard to find people who know how to do it or can invest the time to learn. Even someone who's been doing it for a long time, it's still, the variables are different every day, and you have to know how to overcome that.
What makes good barbecue, versus just mediocre barbecue?
It's the care in the cooking process and understanding that things don't happen by a clock. Things don't happen by, you put the ribs on and set your watch for 3 hours and then you take them off. It doesn't work that way. You have to understand the nuance if you're cooking 50 briskets at a time, 50 briskets are going to be be done at 50 different times. You have to understand how to read what it's telling you, how it feels. There's things that you hear, there's things that you smell, there's things that you see. And every single one of them requires someone's hands. And we use two people to make a judgment call of when we're going to pull something. They touch it, I think it's good. Someone else will go and touch it and be like, I agree. And they'll pull when it's done. And that's going to happen at 50 different times if you're cooking 50 briskets. So it's a really nuanced thing, man. It's incredible that to have a end product that you're really, really happy about, because it's a really hard thing to do.
You know, the growth has probably led to it being more difficult for you to guess or to estimate how much meat to buy every week. Is that an issue?
Well, yeah. I mean, no matter how long you do it, none of us can ever predict the future, right? And that's the thing I don't think most people understand is today's Tuesday. Okay. Our brisket cook for Wednesday is happening right now. It started at, 4:00 this morning, and it's going to go until probably 8 o'clock tonight. We're going to pull and rest. And then we're going to hold those briskets hot until we need them tomorrow.
Who's doing all this at 4 in the morning in the middle of the night? I mean,
we're in shifts. A lot of people traditionally they do those cooks overnight, and it's difficult. But that's just kind of part of the evolution of barbecue in the modern age, is figuring out how to stagger and do things a little different. You don't have to do it that way anymore. You don't have to stay up all night, overnight through the night.
I guess that's why I never got into barbecue.
Yeah. And
I mean, like barbecuing.
That's one of the things that makes it hard. And so we can't predict the future. We can always make our best guess. We can use data to tell us that. We can look at this week, last year. Well, what did we do? What was the weather like? We can make predictions based on our just best case scenario. But bottom line is, we don't know what's going to happen. And inevitably, that's why barbecue joints sell out of things, because, everything from chicken to sausage.
Stanley's out of ribs, know.
Right. And people get mad, but it's like, I cooked 110 racks of ribs. Like, we didn't know that we were going to get hit like this at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. And, by the time we get more on, it's a, 4-hour process.
Right.
Hopefully we'll have more for dinner, but sometimes you don't. And it's, we're just always doing the very, very best I can. I promise you, we don't want to disappoint anybody. It's not what we're there for.
I know you, and I know that to be true. It sounds like you kind of got your barbecue and your people in good shape, and then thought about expanding the bar to the bar that everybody loves and enjoys today.
Yeah. I mean, that was an opportunity that we couldn't pass up. It was one that I had wanted forever. I wanted that building. And, at the time, Stanley's was leased property, and the cash advance place was there. And, I kept telling our landlord, hey, we'd really love that space. And like, well, they don't want to leave. But inevitably, I think I talked him in. I was like, could you please not renew their lease? Like, this is important growth for us.
Right. You had nowhere else to go, really, did you?
No, and we still really don't, and that's another complaint.
You got the old shoe place.
We do, which there's a great plan for that, everybody. That's.
I mean, it's an extension of Stanley's, and it's the only place you have to go, right? Yeah. Unless you went across the street.
Well, I mean, over time, and since 2017, 18 is when we were able to get that property and turn it into the new bar. It wasn't until deep in the heart of the middle of COVID in 2020 that our landlord said, hey, we decided we want to sell the building. And I was like, you're going to sell it to me, right? And they're like, well, yeah, but we need it. We're going to give you first right. I was like, but it's COVID and we're literally hemorrhaging cash right now. We're doing everything we can to just stay afloat through this. They're like, well, if you want it, this is your opportunity. And
is that when you bought it?
That's when we bought it. Jen and I had just sold our first house that we had and where we started our family. Both of my kids were born in that house in the Azalea district. And, you know, the what little equity we had from that house, I basically got it and then turned right back around and was like, here you go. But obviously it's what you have to do. It's just, you know, one of the best decisions and best things we could have done
That's the bar patio?
Yeah, that's the bar. All three buildings were part of that, but we had also acquired a lot of the land back behind the train tracks that we, in 2018, were looking to develop. COVID really changed the direction of that thought to more of survival mode. But
that's where the parking is.
Yeah, and there's even more back on both sides of the tracks that it's essentially just empty fields, but we've kind of finally recovered, gotten over the PTSD of that, and we're back into a place of considering growth. We're feeling creative again and want to do a lot to develop that, especially as the city is considering connecting the medical district to the new downtown with kind of like a green trail, like Rose Rudman kind of thing, a connecting system from TJC to the medical district to downtown that comes right up through our spot. So we've actively been working together to think ahead of how
can we use that property
and how it can connect, but how it can also increase the quality of life for the community and that neighborhood.
Well, you know, that reminds me so much of the Katy Trail in Dallas.
Exactly.
I mean, because
100%.
You know, my wife and I, we love that trail.
Yes.
And you know, we have a place in Dallas, and we walk that trail, and you know, the ice house is just, you know, off the hook, right?
It is.
I mean,
the trail's great, but that adds like, oh, let's stop. You
right.
know,
I mean,
gives you like, let's take a break.
It would be so nice. You know, I thought they were going to try that on Old Jacksonville.
Yeah.
A little bit. There's that coffee shop that backs up to that trail. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah. I was I got pulled into that discussion, and just at the time, I just wasn't ready. And, you know, I don't know what's going to happen with all this, but this is part of the dream again right now.
Do you know where the trail that you're talking about from the TJC, where it's going to weave through? Have they designated that?
There is, and there's actually been a TxDOT grant that's been given. They're doing the work right now to start phase 1 of that. I've been active in the discussions with the city and all the pieces. You know, everyone in Midtown, is the hospitals and other business owners, we're all want to actively help each other to see it through. So been talking about it for a while, and they're updating the old Tyler 21 plan to now focus on the changes to Midtown and the medical district and how it needs to connect and play together with downtown. It's really exciting. I know, as most things in Tyler, it's certainly going to take a lot longer. It's going to take many years for this to kind of come to fruition, but it's exciting to think about and see what it could be.
Well, some of the leaders, you know, have been a little bit more forward thinking, it seems, in the last few years. And one particular, you know, the Chamber of Commerce, Scott Martinez, TDEC.
Great.
You know, they seem more aggressive
for sure
at trying to get projects, you know, not only agreed to by the city and county if necessary, but then funded and done, right?
Yeah, I think we have some great minds that are able to kind of think outside of the traditional boxes that maybe kind of really defined Tyler's growth, or, you know, constrained it really. There's a lot of really great people involved in the thinking, and I love who they're consulting with to try to see what this could become. They're looking at other cities and models and how where they've been successful. And if this all comes together, it's going to be really fantastic.
You know, and as you mentioned, the community is the one by and large who benefits, right? Because it's an enjoyable space. It's a good place. You know, I mean, yeah, your business goes up, but I mean, there's more and more people that get to enjoy it.
And, you know, I don't even really think about it in that way. It's where we are, and so I want to, but to me it's really about the 8,000 people that work across the street. You know, how does this
The hospital.
When you're at the hospital,
Yeah.
sometimes whether you're there because someone in your family is there or you work there, you kind of just want to get out for a second.
And there's a lot of people that I've met at the bar that I didn't recognize that told me, hey, I've been over at the hospital for the last 2 weeks and I just had to get out of the hospital.
And that's been something that we have to talk to our staff about all the time is, hey, you may come across someone here who's seems like they're having a bad day. Don't take it personally. You have no idea what someone's going through. They came over here to catch their breath, to just have a meal, to maybe think about a hard decision they have to make, or, lamenting the loss or some trauma. Like, don't take it personally. Our job is to be here to lift them up and give them a space that's where they can get away from that for a minute.
And I've seen that, and she was irritating, I will have to admit. I mean, I was like, man, I think I'm going to the Grove or something, but yeah. But your people were great. I mean, they were much better than I would have been had I been behind the bar. I'll just say that.
Right. Yeah.
Now, I remember the restaurant that you forayed into over on Fifth Street.
Yeah.
What was the name of that?
Roast Social Kitchen.
All right. Unique concept, but the space was pretty cool for back then, I thought.
Right. And Jen and I love to travel, and we love to eat, and we love to see what's going on out there. And Roast Social Kitchen was little bits and pieces of everything that we were seeing all over the country. And we were trying to bring it back to Tyler and be a little progressive in our thinking about menus and
you were
design.
ahead of your time.
And I think that really was the case. A lot of people have said that, and I know that from experience because of how we had to dumb the menu down over time. At the end, we were kind of able to start bringing back some of the things that I feel like people had issues understanding, which I don't really feel like
didn't know they liked until they realized later they liked it.
And our plan, honestly, is to bring that restaurant back. The
same space or different?
No, on the property that we own now, and have it be closer to Stanley's to keep everything together to create some synergy. But our motto over there was thoughtfully prepared, joyfully shared. That was really from our heart. Working with a lot of local ranchers and other vendors to get food and beverages and included in our menu. It was kind of very forward thinking, and the place was not a failure. We closed it during COVID. It just coincided with our 5-year early termination option of our lease. It was a really hectic time. Didn't know what was going to happen.
No
I just
question.
said, you know what? This place was great, but I feel like we just need to walk and just be happy
Focus
with what
on
we
Stanley's.
did, with what we did here. And still very, very fond of that place and the idea. And nothing would make us happier to bring it back.
Yeah, no, I thought it was a great place. I liked that little bar. I liked the food. I don't know if the location was different. Again, you didn't avail yourself to the most people that might have the more sophisticated taste.
Our idea there was, our intent was that it was a neighborhood restaurant. It was for
more
the neighborhood,
the Azalea district,
and the hospital, and to just be something. I'm kind of anti-South Tyler. I really love North Tyler. I love the historic district. I love the medical district. I love Midtown. And to me, I was just kind of like, look, I want to put this where we are and where we, have a commitment to being creative and to spend our money. So it was for that. Whether or not that was smart or why it didn't get as much traction, I don't really know, but people still drive all the way across town to go to Stanley's. People were driving all the way across town to go to the Old El Charro. Anytime anyone ever had a birthday, it was at Old El Charro, right? Which is about as far away from South Tyler as you can be.
Yeah.
So, maybe we were a little arrogant and are like, oh, well, if it's great, they'll come. And, we built a really diehard following there, and more people to this day. If I'm out doing something, if I'm at Brookshire's or at a social gathering, people ask me about roast more than anything.
Well, that's why. I remembered it, and look, COVID, I'm not sure I'd renew a lease.
Right.
for a restaurant that was not, going gangbusters, right? Because you didn't know what the future was going to be at the time.
And we closed it for 4 months. We reopened Roast Social Kitchen at the end, and had a great little resurgence, and had, probably one of the best eras that we ever had there with that crew and with our patrons, and went out on a high note. And I really hope that we can bring it back.
Well, you probably learned a lot from that experience.
So much.
It's funny what you said, and I heard it in Mundo's voice the other day. I had Mundo on the show, and we talked about it. I was like, hey, did you have any, questions about going out to Chapel Hill? That's not, South Tyler or someplace else. And he said, not really. But the other thing he said was Carlos was in charge primarily of the menu. And Mundo would say when they'd go somewhere like Argentina, I love this food. And Carlos would go, now, wait a minute. The people in Smith County,
right,
they're not going to like this.
Yeah.
Right. And that's kind of what you're saying about the menu at Roast Social Kitchen.
Right, which, ironically, when we opened, we had probably the best cheese and charcuterie board ever for a really, really great price.
And now that's hot everywhere.
And no one bought it.
Now,
we were throwing away imported meat from Spain and Italy and everywhere else, and really great cheese. Like you were getting a meat and cheese board for $10, which is insane. And now they're everywhere. Like, there's beautiful meat and cheese boards, and people are there's little restaurants that are thriving, like Nourish. Sorry.
Yeah.
Jeannie.
Jeannie went to Robert E. Lee.
Yeah. Great spot.
I was going to have Jeannie on the show and kind of showcase what her restaurant has to offer and how it's different and than everything you could buy.
It's super unique and great and cool, and really happy that people can now come in and do some things that, even some of the things that she does, I'm like, wow, I'm surprised that people are receptive.
I mean, those tasting dinners, I think, I'm not sure about this, but I think, the next door tenant may be opening up in the near future, and I think she has plans to expand.
I hope so. I'm glad she's doing really well. I'm glad that any independent restaurant in Tyler is doing well. It's a tough game,
right? I mean, Steve Barnhart I had on the show from Prime 102.
Yeah,
he said, most restaurants, don't survive the first 6 months. And, that's probably true. I don't know if it is, but
it's tough.
It's hard. Moving prices for beef makes it hard to keep a menu, I guess, the same way, right?
It is, and I think also it's hard to keep people educated, because generally the perception is just like, oh, well, this is just too expensive.
You're raising prices. You're greedy.
Yeah, you're greedy. But I mean, really,
you're just moving with the price of beef.
Sure, and in our industry and in my specific genre of barbecue, we haven't been able to charge what we need to for brisket for a really long time, because Tyler's really not a small town anymore. There's much smaller towns around here, and if you charge what you need to, people will just freak out and they won't do it. And it's the heart of a barbecue restaurant's menu in Texas. And we try to make our margins on other things to make up for it.
Alcohol
beef is expensive. We sell alcohol. Some people don't have that.
Well, I'm just saying alcohol is a good margin.
It is.
And if people watching this show have never been to Stanley's bar, I think that they're missing something that they don't realize exists in Tyler.
I don't disagree with that. I think people are shocked that, we have a really high quality cocktail program at Stanley's. We were the first here in East Texas to really kind of amass the bourbon shelf that we have. A lot of other people have it now, and that's great for all of us that love bourbon, but that was a huge risk and a gamble. And, people were mad, like, I don't want to drink a $20 bourbon poured out of a plastic cup. I was like, I hear you. And so we have glass. Like, you take that feedback and advice, and you change and adapt for for your customer. And
I
so,
love the plastic cups.
I mean,
I'm a guy who'd rather have a styrofoam or a plastic cup than a glass.
my dad growing up always had a styrofoam cup in his hand at work. And it was one of two things. It was either full of coffee or scotch and water.
Well, I like cold, okay, even on my drinks. And ice, it doesn't melt as quickly.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
But it was really just for us, the decision there it's about space and room. To have glassware, you have to be able to
dishwasher
collect it. You have to be able to wash it. The place gets busy and packed sometimes, and it's a barbecue joint. It's been there for 66 years this year, and so that's just part of the persona and the service model. But
the specialty drinks, I think, are impressive. And if you've been around Tyler, you don't necessarily see a Chilton. You don't see a Barbie Margarita. You don't see these things. That there's really something for everybody. In my opinion,
I truly believe, and that is very much by design and intent from Heather Brown, who's, so often won best bartender in Tyler, and her grandmother worked for Mr. Stanley back in the day. She's got a long connection to it historically. She's been there with Jen and I longer than anybody. Heather's been there 13 years. We stole her fair and square. We met Heather back in the day when we would just go out to eat with our kids. And,
where'd you steal Heather from?
well, when we met Heather, she worked at Clear Springs.
God, I can't even imagine that.
Right. She was behind the bar there, and she would just embrace our kids because we always loved to sit on the patio at Clear Springs. There'd literally never be another person out there. We would bring a tub of toys for our son with a dump truck, and he'd play in the dirt, and Jen and I would have a Rattler, one of their famous margaritas that Heather would make, and she'd talk to us, and we just really got to know her. And when I knew that we were getting to the point that Stanley's was going to go for a bar, there's no doubt of who I wanted, and I called her, and she was in between things. She was waiting tables at Rick's on the Square at the time, and she came over and has put herself through nursing school and, has been a nurse in the ER. She also has one of the most difficult nursing jobs that probably exist.
Forensic.
As a forensic nurse. I can't think of a better person to have by your side in that moment.
Right.
Than her. And, despite all of that, she loves our guests and the people she's met there, and continues to work behind that bar because she truly is passionate about it and loves what she does.
There's no question. Okay. At first, I'm suspicious. Now, she can't love me this much. I'm like, nobody loves me like that. Okay.
She loves everybody.
But after a while,
she really does.
I start to believe, I think she really loves me.
She does. She loves everybody like that. It's genuinely who she is.
Yeah. I'm hard to convince, but I'm convinced. And she's such an asset, is she not?
No, she is. She through our time together, she has carried the torch of hospitality and the heart and soul of that place, sometimes brighter and hotter than I was capable of in the moment.
She is a people person marketer.
Yeah.
Right?
And now giving selflessly by being on the board at PATH and Junior League. And who knows what other civic organization she's committing to.
She likes all that, though.
She does.
I think she just likes it. She doesn't even act like it's work. She just enjoys it so much. And, right. Truthfully, Tyler's probably better off because of her.
She loves helping people so much, man. And Tyler definitely is benefiting from her heart.
And, it's funny. You mentioned a phrase that you and your wife came up with for, the social kitchen.
Mm-hmm.
And what was that phrase?
Thoughtfully prepared, joyfully shared.
All right. But the one for Stanley's seems to fit the vibe, Heather, and everything, which is the famous...
Be kind, have fun.
Right. I don't think I've ever been in there where I've seen anybody really, aggravated, really, or mad at somebody else in there. You know what I mean? And that's not always true for bars.
No. And, Stanley's has a bar. I don't really consider that Stanley's is a bar.
I don't either.
And that's,
because people are eating. It's not like it's just a bar,
It's an extension of our service.
Right.
It's something we offer. kind of like our live music. It's we become a venue sometimes, and that's just a selfish endeavor because of my time touring. That was a tool that I used to attract younger people to Stanley's early on, is I knew guys that were in bands that were still traveling, and I'd be like, hey man, can you guys come up and play at my place? And we were BYOB. People could pack a cooler and come and sit on the deck and hear a band and be like, what is this place? And they'd tell a friend, and you'd hand them their food and made sure that bag of food was perfect because you needed them to be like, this sandwich is amazing, this vibe is amazing, I gotta tell everyone I know. And then when they show up, rinse and repeat, and that's been our model from the very beginning.
Well, the live music, I mean, you are one of the few and probably one of the more well-known and better venues for Tyler right now, aren't you?
Hopefully.
I mean, I can't think of any place.
It's not a great venue in the sense of,
right, there's not room.
There's not room, and the setup's not great, but that's also part of the magic, I think.
If I'm in the bar, I can't really hear the guy over there very well.
But if you're seeing a nationally touring band that the night before was playing to 700 at the Kessler in Dallas, and now they're on our stage, and you're literally closer to them than we are right now. For someone who's a fan of the music, and even when you're on the stage, the energy that you get and receive in that moment is just something that's really so special.
Well, I'm glad, and I know who you're talking about. I'm glad Paul Cawthorn finally came back.
Yeah.
Right?
Paul used to work at Stanley's.
And Paul, when you said the Kessler, I mean, Paul has these residencies, it seemed like, where he plays every Wednesday.
Yeah.
And then he came back, and we had that concert, and
it was a great night.
I mean, it was packed.
Magical, packed. And, where else are you going to be able to experience Paul like that anywhere else?
I mean, it's, I was glad he did it. I was always, I don't know the business, but I was glad he came and played there. And I know everybody enjoyed the heck out of that. And you've got other stuff, you've got some 80s bands, which is kind of cool. That Fleetwood Journey's coming, I saw.
Yeah, this weekend.
That just kind of helps give younger people something to do if they want to at night.
Yeah, Tyler's too small to kind of be pigeonholed into a genre. So we try to do everything from, there may be an 11-piece funk band from New Orleans one weekend, and the next weekend may be a garage indie rock show. We've had, country, Americana, folk, and everything in between.
Your menu over the years, would you say you've added some things that were kind of uniquely you and your wife, like Mother Clucker, or was that something that was there, or how did that come about?
I mean, the Clucker was an adaptation at the time to, in even as long ago as this was, the Mother Clucker was born in 2014. That was reacting to beef prices at the time, which is, it's been a continuation of that. But
you needed something good that was chicken.
We needed something that could kind of offset, have a price point that wasn't crazy, but also it was, something that was to create some excitement around the menu, something different. And that was how that was born. Me and my good buddy Jordan Jackson and our ex-pit master Jonathan Shaw. It was a collaboration, and that thing just kind of really took off. I never saw that coming, but that's just flexing your creative muscle, having fun with what you're doing. When you're in the restaurant business, you want to have fun, right? And it's in our motto.
Yeah.
You want to make food that when you see people take a bite, it's the instant gratification of seeing the joy. I mean, that's the best part of hospitality to me, is that moment in time.
Well, I mean, and for a barbecue place, it is somewhat amazing that the Clucker is not meat, and it is something that's ordered probably more than most things.
The still to this day, though, tried and true, we are an East Texas barbecue joint, and the number one seller is and probably always will be just a chopped brisket sandwich.
Right.
That's
I mean,
as East Texas as it comes.
Remember Dub's Barbecue over by TJC?
Yeah.
That's what I remember. This is kind of the old, neon sign that people can see at night when they go by if they don't know.
It is a designated historic landmark in Tyler, Texas now.
Yeah. And, hopefully that doesn't limit your ability to expand with nice things like I like in the future.
I don't think that it will.
Like certain building codes or whatever that you are restricted from.
So, yeah, we actually had to go get submit a variance application this week, in fact, to put a sign similar to this above the boot shop, which is on the end. Everyone may remember Beckham Boot and Shoe Repair on the end. It's kind of just been our junk drawer since it emptied out more than 6 years ago. But our plan is to revitalize that space. It's going to be called the Smash Bar. We're going to be doing smash burgers and the dive bar. We just did our first pop-up with that last weekend. It's great success, but in order for it to honor, here's the craziest part, and I just found this out too, is that building originally in 1953 was the first Whataburger in Tyler.
Really?
It was.
And now it's going to be the first smash burger?
And in 1963, it became Texas size hamburgers, and it was that for probably until 1970. But there's a photograph of it with the same kind of sign on the roof. Sign ordinance now doesn't allow you to have signs on the roof that are neon like this, but we just don't have the fascia, or it just doesn't conform. It's a historic complex from the 50s. This is what they did then. So for us to basically put another sign on the roof there that's going to match the historic look and feel of here, we had to get a variance, and we're having to beg the city now, like, can we put a neon sign on the roof like this so that it fits the historical significance of where we are? And
how is that process going?
The application was turned in. You have to turn it in a month ahead of time before the city council meeting or the planning and zoning, which is next month.
Will you go down there and speak at the podium about it?
Yes.
I mean, because
for sure,
anybody's ever watched it on TV,
right?
They give you 3 minutes or whatever.
Yeah. Which is so weird. Like, I can sit and talk to you. I can play drums on the stage in front of thousands of people, but every time I've gone down there and had to speak at the podium, like, I get so nervous, like visibly handshaking, and my voice is all weird. I don't know what that's all about.
All right, just give me your points, and I'll go down there for you.
Yeah, you can. I'll make you my agent.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to address the council here today. We're right. I mean,
all right, everybody heard it. We're gonna make.
Well, I mean, it's a good time.
Yeah,
there is a mayoral campaign about to start.
Absolutely.
So we need to find out who's lining up with us and who's lining up against us.
Well, I've been having those conversations.
Well, it is nice. I mean, Congressman Moran has been on this show.
It was a great interview.
And he's also, we made reference to your place, and he's the people that he brought there
from DC.
Yep. He wanted to show them the Stanley's barbecue, and that's got to feel good to have that kind of relationship with the entire community.
It does, and that's one of the greatest things about what we're about and what our place represents is that everybody is welcome there. And if we can't all sit down and enjoy a plate of barbecue together, then we're all kind of screwed, right? Like, barbecue is a huge part of our culture in Texas. And it certainly is not it's going to divide some people. People always have the argument about what's best or whatever. But my good buddy Jason, who used to work for Senator Cruz, said that
Jason Wright.
Yeah, Jason Wright.
I mean, look, I've got my pulse on the community.
Jason, one of the greatest guys, and people were giving us some weird flack about I'll cater to whoever wants our food, right? And try not to be political about things, because it's not about that to me. To me, everyone's just a customer. But someone bought food from us that people didn't like, and they were all mad at me, and I was just like, it's just a customer. What's the big deal? And Jason stepped in and was like, look, if we can't all just get along and eat barbecue together, we're in trouble. Just squash it, leave it alone. Like, Stanley's is about being together, and that's it. And that's true. And that's why when the congressman's there and he brought people from DC, it's just the same as anyone else who's been away and wants to bring their family and have an iconic Tyler, Texas experience. That's Stanley.
People forget, Nathaniel, years ago, he was just a lawyer, just like me coming in, right? And then he was a county judge, and so it's like, people are, their jobs change, but maybe they're probably the same person. They like the same things as we like.
Yeah.
And, Stanley's is a great place if people don't know it. Nick kind of looks like a hippie, but he's really not. But, there's really no politics talk there, which is so dadgum refreshing, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you go to a restaurant, you're just trying to have a good time.
Look.
And I notice myself enjoying people that I know I probably don't align with.
Sure.
But I really like them because there's nothing that's brought up to make me not like them.
Look, it's about be kind, have fun.
Yeah.
Is your food good? How's your drink? How's your experience? That's what it's about. And that's our focus.
I think you've captured it. I don't know how it got captured, but it was captured before I first came down there because I moved into town, a little over a year and a half ago. And before that, I lived so far south, I was almost in Flint. And so, I never went to Stanley's. And my crazy cousin Alan, who I love, he got me coming down there.
I remember the audition. You were checking us out.
Yeah.
Like, I'm looking for a place I can come. I'm going to be in the neighborhood now. I'm just making sure.
That's right. And I'm so thankful, truthfully. And I'm not just saying this because you're on the show. I am so thankful that place exists.
Me too.
Because Tyler doesn't have that many places that aren't just kind of colder, chain-like, without the hospitality that your people serve up.
It's not fancy, but we are passionate about what we do, and the people that have come on board with us have been bitten by the hospitality bug, and they care about it. They care about everyone that's there, and the experience that they have, like, truly.
Well, that's what I would tell people if they, if they're intimidated by Stanley's, by the crowd or whatever, it's not. There's plenty of room, and they should try it.
There's a moment in time where it will be crazy. There's moments in time where it's not, and you'd be surprised. And the crazy nights aren't for everybody. Sometimes it's not for me. But it's part of what we do. And I want to just be able to offer that to the community. And I love bringing people together, and that's what we're going to keep trying to do.
I'm about to unlock the riddle.
All
okay.
Right, let's go.
The greatest misconception I think about Stanley's are the people that drive on Beckham. And what I mean by that, the only thing they know about Stanley's is that there's a line way out the door.
Sometimes, yeah.
And they go, well, I'm not stopping there, and they don't know that the bar exists, right? Like if they hadn't been there in a long time, and all that parking is around the back. Because you look in the front, you go, man, I can't stop here, right?
By the time you get somewhere else, you would have already been to the front of the line and had your food.
Because it does move
quick.
I mean, it does move quick.
What we learned in COVID is, and we adopted a service model that we will always have now, curbside. You can call your food in or use the app or online ordering. There's at all times
a lot of people working that secret in the bar. 6
dedicated parking places out front that you can pull in. You don't even have to get out of your car. Someone's going to run it out to you and give it to you, and you can pull out and take off. And yeah, that is kind of a local thing. People understand that. They'll get their food to go, grab it, and go sit outside. We have QR codes on the tables now where you have limited menu things that you can get, that if you're having a drink after work and you kind of want a snack, you can get some nachos. They'll bring it right to your table. You don't even have to get up and go order. You can just scan the thing on the table. And
There's
working.
One more thing you haven't mentioned.
Uh-oh.
I mean, this is insider knowledge.
Okay.
You can order breakfast tacos at the bar.
Yes, you can.
All day long.
All day.
Okay.
Yep.
Now, listen to me. There's multiple kinds, but the brisket, egg, and cheese, like me, if you don't want the carbs, you can get it in a bowl.
That's right.
So I never leave the bar. I never wait in the line. I never have to do anything.
Tacos are great. We're using a local homemade, handmade tortilla. Breakfast is back. That's another thing that was gone that we lost during COVID. We just now brought breakfast back again this last summer. Our breakfast is better than it was the first time for sure. So that's another thing to try. Like 6:30 in the morning, hit us up. You can grab some overnight oats or a breakfast taco or a biscuit.
Well, that's just evolution. Like that you can order this at the bar, the breakfast tacos. You're kind of, I guess you're perceiving, want or needs and responding to some of them.
Yeah, of course, always.
I mean, that's good. That's like the bourbon glass.
Exactly.
Right.
And we're about to do that again in the hospital as we're thinking about being creative and investing more capital improving our spot and building some more. Like, I want to literally put a survey out to the people that work at the hospital in downtown and be like, what do you want? What is lunch? What do you need options wise? Is it healthy? Is it quick? Do you want to sit down? Do you want pizza? Do you want a salad? Like, what do you want to eat? What
I say it ends up being
want?
healthy and quick. I bet are at the top of the list.
Absolutely.
That's why I love a barbecue joint, because I can eat protein and I don't have to eat barbecue all the time.
Our turkey is a sleeper, man.
Right. It is
good.
good. That turkey is good. The Rose Social Kitchen, would allow you the opportunity to bring a different menu, completely different from a barbecue style in the same vicinity if you ever got that going.
And that was very, very much centered around better choices with food.
Yeah, just
the ingredients.
Yeah.
The menu choices in general, and also the social aspect. There were no TVs there. When we had date nights, you could put your phone up front.
In Roost?
At Roast,
yeah.
And have a meal without having to be distracted by your phone. We had an emergency breakthrough that if your babysitter needed to call, like our host would know and would come and tell you, hey, someone needs to get in touch with you. But I mean, it was about sitting down and talking. We had the little conversation starters on the table to encourage people to talk. All the food was there to share a meal together. Same kind of thing.
Phones are irritating, aren't they?
They are, man.
I mean, I'm thinking some people are making love looking at the phone by the pillow nowadays. I mean, it's that bad.
I'm so anti. I don't have mine. I got rid of my Apple Watch. It's ruining our kids. It's so hard to see our kids not wanting to engage in conversation or
play outside,
see the world.
I mean, right.
Go outside. I had this conversation, before I left, like, guys, go outside. It's a beautiful day. Like, just look around.
What are we going to do, Dad?
Yeah.
Well, maybe throw some tennis balls at cars or, maybe ring somebody's doorbell and run, do something fun, guys. I mean, that's what I'm saying. That's kind of what we grew up doing.
Water balloons.
Water balloons. I mean, that was exciting. But, we've talked about some projects, but I mean, there are some rumors about, Stanley's maybe connecting with a bigger company, for a new restaurant space. I mean, what can you tell us, if anything, about that?
I mean, nothing's been official, but one of the greatest partnerships that I've formed has been with Brookshire's, and
they got food.
Obviously, a huge, strong local company, deep roots in Tyler. When they opened their Fresh store back in the day, they came to me and they said, hey, we want to sell your barbecue sauce at Fresh. And at the time, literally, we sold barbecue sauce in a styrofoam cup. If someone wanted some, we poured it in there and put a lid on it. It was like, there's $2.
You weren't prepared to bottle it, man.
They helped me through that process. They taught me how to do that. They put me in touch with people to help us be able to do that and get our products to retail, which started at that one store. Then they gave us a couple more stores in town, and I had to deliver the product and stock the shelves myself. And now we're in every single Brookshire store that they have everywhere.
Really?
And
how big a part of the business are you got sauce, you got pickled
pickles, we have some rubs, we now have a Bloody Mary mix that I think is just outstanding. I love it so much. And they approached me when they started talking about when they lost the original store number 1 downtown to the fire and it inevitably torn down for the new courthouse. They had to choose what was going to be store number 1 again. And that's their plan for the development on the West Loop, right?
Right. Because, we know that they're building.
Yes.
I think they're going to break ground in a couple of months, maybe.
Yeah. They asked me about a partnership and would I be willing to discuss with them partnering and having essentially a Stanley's outpost in that store. And again, I'm at a point in my life again where for a long time I said no to everything. I just was burned out. I was beat up after COVID and just really jaded. And now I'm invigorated. And when they came to me, I told my team, we're going to find every possible way to say yes to what they want to do. And it's looking like the possibility is very real that we will be a part of their store with a patio and a full bar and kind of a mini full Stanley's experience, including a pit house over there and live music. And it's a partnership that I value greatly and really excited about the opportunity to work with them on this.
Well, the people around the West Loop, that'd be awesome for them. I guess you and Richie, you got your little dry run at the East Texas Fair this year for what we're going to have out on the.
And one of the things that we don't have the room to do at Stanley's now is, and we've never done, is third-party delivery. We just can't accommodate the infrastructure and the logistics that it takes to do that. And the opportunity that if this moves forward, we will be able to offer that from that location. And when you draw a 5-mile radius around that, it really kind of reaches the heart of what I consider probably what our reach is anyway. So we would be able to start offering delivery and open up some other opportunities that we haven't had before.
Chris, let's look at the slide on the right there. And then, okay, so we'll just run through this. Texas Monthly every year has the 50 best barbecue.
It was every 5 years. Now it's every 4.
Okay. I mean, I don't know why I thought it was every year, but 5 consecutive times. I mean, that's over 20 years.
The first time was in 2003. Yeah.
Okay. And so this last year was 2025 when they were up.
Yeah.
And here's the Texas Monthly best barbecue joints. We've got an honorable mention for Stanley's famous pit barbecue, right?
Well, look, here's the deal. I mean, barbecue over the last 5 years has exploded, and there's so many good joints. It's almost impossible not to find good brisket in this state now because there's so many incredible barbecue joints. So, I mean, essentially, this is still considered the 100 best barbecue joints in Texas, which is an honor that I'll take every time. I'm grateful and I'm proud of that. There are a lot of joints that are historically significant, as well as, who placed well in the last list that are also honorable mentions. It's great company no matter what. And it's something that we've really, really, really worked hard on. And this is my 20-year anniversary at Stanley's. And I feel like just in the last few years, I'm finally to the point that I'm the most proud of what we do. And I feel like we've finally succeeded of getting the food where I really have envisioned it since that time in 2008 when I was like, we have to be better at this. I think we're finally getting there now. And I'm the most proud of what we're doing at this moment in time.
It's hard to mass produce consistently good food is what you're saying.
Especially barbecue.
Well, I know you've got this podcast you do with some other people like Wayne Mueller, for instance. Louis Mueller Barbecue is something that
It's iconic.
My dad took me there and went out of his way to stop there.
Yeah.
In the years that when I went to UT in Austin, and I had no idea what Louis Mueller was, but it was a big deal to him. Do you find people stopping at Stanley's kind of on a road trip or on, a journey or a quest to hit barbecue joints, and they're not from in Tyler?
For sure. And that's kind of what you'll see a lot on Saturdays is that there's a lot of traffic in Tyler, Texas on a Saturday afternoon. People who are intentionally driving I-20 from the DFW Metroplex or somewhere else in Texas who are doing barbecue tours. People are traveling now to go and eat. And East Texas in general, not just our spot. There's some really amazing barbecue joints in the 903 area code. We've got a group text, the 903 Barbecue Mafia, of all the guys in East Texas who, are incredible barbecue joints: Longview, Sulphur Springs, Grand Saline, Jacksonville, Jefferson. I mean, there's some really, really great barbecue joints out here right now, and people are traveling to eat, and they're coming to Tyler, Texas to come to Stanley's and see what East Texas is all about.
When I was in high school, not that I was doing it, but there was some underage drinking going on.
Really?
And oftentimes we would go out to a place called Pat G's.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
And that's the only barbecue when I was in high school, really, that I ever went to or knew about, and that's because we could go out there in the middle of nowhere, right?
It's that also is iconic and an experience that is unlike anything else. Daniel Vaughn, the barbecue editor for Texas Monthly Magazine, who who curates that list said, if there was a Colonial Williamsburg of barbecue, it is Pat G's. Like it's that old school kind of thing that it is an experience everyone should have while it exists. Cause
Right.
you know, it's burned down before it was open again 5 days later.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I mean, I remember when Mr. G, Pat himself, would be in there, his wife in there, his son, you know, I mean, it was,
It is an experience that is so deeply East Texas that words can't describe it.
I mean, it's when you think about Piney Woods, it's in the sticks, whatever. It's literally in the sticks.
Yes, it is.
Right. But it is a great experience. And to us, it was great barbecue. And I'm not sure what the quality was relative to what there is now, but we sure liked it back then.
Yeah. That's one of those things. It's you embrace the experience fully of what it is, the drive out there, walking in that screen door and being in that place. It's unique, one of a kind.
You know, when you think of food and you think of classification, you think of Michelin, right? Like to try to signal to people that this is an exceptional place with exceptional dishes, artistic, innovative, right?
Yeah.
But there's also this thing called Bib Gourmand.
Yeah, man.
And there's one in Seguin that just recently got that designation.
They are also number one on the Texas Monthly 50 Best list this year.
Yeah, and that's interesting. And, you know, you guys on the podcast, I mean, there's Wayne Mueller and Justin. I think he's got a place in Dallas, Pecan Lodge.
Pecan Lodge, yeah. They kind of launched the whole modern day Dallas barbecue scene.
And for people that don't know where Pecan Lodge is, that's in Deep Ellum?
It's in Deep Ellum now. They started in the farmers market a long time ago, but these are guys that hugely respected, accomplished a lot. Wayne's the third generation owner at Lou Miller, and, you know, talk about tradition and upholding I mean, the place is an institution, and doing things like barbecue festivals, you meet your peers. It's the only kind of time of year where we could see each other. Usually we're too busy, but we've forged deep brotherhoods and friendships. And, you know, we always talk about our challenges. We always talk about our mental health. Hey, are we good? We're checking in. You okay? You burned out? How you feeling? Like it's a really tough thing. And these are conversations we were having all the time anyway, just trying to relate, find ways to navigate problems. What are you doing about this? You know, how are you addressing this? And one day Justin just like, man, we should talk about this on a podcast. And it's been almost a year now. We're really kind of getting some momentum. We're talking to, I'm interviewing later today one of the guys who was in the new Michelin Guide, Evan Leroy at Leroy and Lewis Barbecue in Austin. We've documented and tried to investigate the beef price crisis in 2026.
Like what's causing it?
Yeah. And we've talked to, you know, beef analysts, we've talked to cattlemen, we've talked to, you know, Commissioner Sid Miller from the state of Texas.
Is there a clear answer?
I don't have one, you know.
Have you found
I'm still
one?
confused. I mean, there's a lot of talk about, you know, where it's going to go. Apparently it's all about the beef herd, the lowest numbers in 75 years, and the plans differ of how we're to navigate away from that and to fix that problem. Right now we have New World screwworm, which has closed the border. The 1 million head of Mexican cattle that we get typically every year on feed are not here. And so feedlots are closing. They're reducing capacity. Those are the things that feed the majority of America's appetite for beef in like a cheap fast food hamburger.
Right.
But if those aren't there, then they have to take the good cows where you might get a brisket or a prime steak and cover the demand. The beef demand is at an all-time high right now. And so even through 5-6 episodes focusing just on that, it's still really muddy and murky. And, you know, we're just trying to encourage other barbecue joint guys or even just consumers. The price of beef at the grocery store is insane. Of just like, hey, where is the light at the end of the tunnel? So we're doing that, but we're also talking to other award-winning barbecue joint owners and just getting perspectives about how they deal How are they dealing with stress? How are they being successful? What's going on with them?
I mean, the podcast is called Smokeless.
Yep.
And do you guys put it on once a week, once a month,
So right now we're kind of on a run. We're getting it out once a week, which is great. For the longest time, there would be months that would go by without an episode. We were kind of doing it all on our own. And at the end of one episode, I just said, hey, if anyone's out there who knows how to do this, like, we really need help, like, reach out, send me an email. And this dude from Ireland, Vic Berry, who is a content producer in Ireland, emailed me and was like, dude, I'm a barbecue fanatic. I love your show. I would love to help. And Vic's now producing our podcast from Ireland. And he's, busting our chops. He's teaching us. We're creating systems of how we can be consistent on this and keep it scheduled. And we've consistently now had an episode out every week for the last little bit. So,
yeah, I mean, I put one out every week, and it's been like 25 straight weeks.
You got to have 25 in the bag at this point.
I don't have that many in the bag, but I mean, you're the first of 4 shot in the next 2 days, and there was 2 or 3 shot last week, and so
yeah,
my history, my experience as a lawyer has prepared me to prepare in an efficient way where it just doesn't take up all your time, right?
Right.
And then my natural curiosity, I think, to learn about people and just like people in general makes me want to know about their story, why they're doing what they're doing, how they got there.
Well, I will tell you, Chad, you're really great at this. The very first episode I saw was with JB Smith, and I was fascinated. I watched it multiple times because I love JB, and I'm assuming it's your tenacity as a lawyer and your ability to listen quickly and formulate a question for whatever the reason. You're great at this, and I love your interviews, and I love watching this, and I'm glad you're doing it.
Well, I mean, I don't want you to give me any compliments, but I appreciate the feedback because, as you know, you have to have a producer, and I have one for this show to take place, and I think we've gotten better, and we keep trying to get better. If people want to check out Smokeless, how do they check it out?
We're on all the platforms. We're on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts. We have a website, smokelesspodcast.com. And, the first few episodes were not represented visually, but now every episode is video. You can get audio or video format. Obviously, you go to YouTube for the video. And, we're trying to build that base, and I'm just trying to get my chops up in it and be as good of an interviewer as you are. So I'm used to asking the questions. This is weird for me to talk.
Well, the good thing about the podcast for you on Smokeless, I would think, would be it's also a way to exchange ideas
for sure
in your business.
Yeah.
And maybe solve problems that somebody else has already solved.
Well, I feel like we're doing it in a way that you don't have to know about barbecue or necessarily be in the barbecue business or a fan of barbecue to relate to the things we're talking about. Struggling with mental health and burnout is something that we all probably deal with it at some point.
Yeah, I mean, I get bored practicing law, right? I mean, This podcast is a natural, I think, outsourcing of maybe things that I know how to do, but doing things that I might love more, talking to people.
Well, and you're giving a great perspective on the amazing people that make up East Texas. And there's a lot of interesting stuff happening here. There's a lot of interesting people trying things here. And it's really great for you to be able to shine a spotlight on that and show everybody, about what's going on here, man.
I mean, that's the point of the podcast, really to highlight the exceptional men and women, business, philanthropy, and just unique people that live where we live, and make our community whatever it can be. Now, the future, what is the future of Stanley's? We've talked about it. Do you think it's expansion around the property that we have with the smash bar, potentially the roast kitchen coming back, that type of thing? And the Brookshire's thing, if it comes about.
Yeah, I mean, that's my focus. I had intended to take Stanley's to the East Coast where Jen's family is from. And actually, it's where I live now. I live in Virginia, and I'm commuting back and forth as I have been for the last 6 years. We started doing this in 2020.
I mean, that's tough, isn't it?
It is tough. And that's why I'm a little disheveled today. They had to change the tire on my airplane last night, and it took 4 extra hours. But, you know, it's been a blessing and a curse because I've been able to focus on my family deeply when I'm there. And I have an 18-year-old son and a 15-year-old daughter. And this is a time in their life that I will not have back with them. And so when I'm there and we're together, it's really great to be able to focus on that. But I feel like things suffer here when I'm not here, but when I'm here, I feel like, things are suffering there, and it's a hard battle, but I'm doing the best I can. Our intent was to maybe try and see about bringing Stanley's to the East Coast. There's not really a great representative of our style of barbecue there. And I just, after really trying and exploring that idea, we just came back to, you know what, let's just finish what we started here. We're in a good space again to start trying. And so our focus now is to focus on Midtown, the property that we have around Stanley's, and create some more opportunities for Midtown to flourish, to have things that might be available further south, but to just really enrich our community and be the best neighbor that we can be and have fun while doing it. So,
the older I get, when I was younger, I kind of got aggravated about people using the word community and this and that. But now, I've kind of changed my view on that. I mean, when you see people getting along and having a good time and being of all different, walks of life, you do kind of say, it is important. It's meaningful to me to do what I can to make people a better community, right? Because, Tyler's kind of, at least for me, where I was born and raised, and I've only been out of here for college and law school, and I probably won't be leaving,
Right.
So what's the future for Nick Pencis?
I'm going to be 50 this year, man, and got a son going off to college, and my daughter will be right behind him. And I really want to try to create a plan. I really don't have an answer, but I want to be able to get back to enjoying life and exploring and seeing what my kids are going to do, and if they're going to be a part of, I'm not trying to make them be a part of what we're doing, but if they choose to do that, I would love to work with them and teach them about what Jen and I do. But it's that moment in time right now when I'm myself trying to figure that out, and I don't really know, man. But I'm invigorated, and I'm gonna give it my best shot to kind of finish what I started here, and we'll just see what happens.
Well, you mentioned Jen. Does she help out in any way with the business on a daily basis? From Virginia Beach?
Yeah, I mean we're super connected with everything that's ever happened there. In the very, very beginning, everyone remembers her being a front-facing part of the business. They would come into the register, and she was working the register pregnant or with our son literally, strapped to her. And to this day, I would say that Stanley's exists because of her ability. When I would be stuck in a place where I had tunnel vision or just was really, she could always see the bigger picture and made some really pivotal decisions that led to us surviving. I mean, we're here to this day because of her. People don't see that anymore because they don't see her, but she's fortunate enough that she was able to step away to be a mother to our children and teach them how to be great people. And that's really, really important, but it also is hard for her because she misses it. She misses the connection to our business and to the people who come, and some of the greatest friends that we have to this day are people that we met through Stanley's and just being there and hanging out. And so it's really, really tough, but we steer the ship together. People see me because I'm the one that's flying back and forth. If we just both can't do that.
Right.
It's not possible. So yeah, she's very much a huge part of what you see and experience, and is a major influence of our future for sure.
Well, Nick, it sounds like your family, is forever will be connected with Stanley's as part of your family.
Yeah.
And I think anybody who watches this is probably going to thank you for allowing us to have that family experience every time we go in.
Thanks, man.
Man, thanks for coming in.
Of course.
And fighting the airports to be here today to put on this show. I appreciate it.
I'm grateful to be here. Thanks, man.